Guys, it's Scott, and I'm back. I always say I'm back like I was somewhere other than here, but I was just here. So I'm making a video today that I didn't know I would be making because it's about a camera that I didn't know I was getting, and I honestly forgot existed. It's the Fujifilm X-A10. So it's the absolute bottom end of the Fujifilm X series lineup as far as interchangeable lens cameras go. This has got the older 16 megapixel non-X-trans Cmos sensor. It's the same form factor as like the X-A3. I think it came out around the same time as the X-A3. So any accessories for the X-A3 or X-A5 or X-A2, they're all the same. Like, this is my X-A1 and the form factor is identical. I could put this brown case on this X-A10 and it would fit. But this camera, like, I completely forgot it existed. I love my X-A1. I made a video about it, it's got to be a couple of years ago now, about how I called it the giant killer. This camera is the perfect improvement for this camera, where I always felt like the X-A2, X-A3, X-A5 series sort of got away from what I loved about this camera, which was just image quality. The X series, when you add an extra 0 on the end of the product number, tells you that it's a lower end version of something. So like the XT30 is a lower end version of the XT3. So I don't want to say lower end, but like more consumer based as opposed to professional. The fact that the X-A10 came out years after the X-A1 is pretty funny, but it's got all the right improvements, and I can't believe I slept on this camera. Like, this is something I should have picked up the day it came out, but I'm actually glad it didn't, because the reason I got this camera, I'm not getting this from Fujifilm to review. I bought this camera. I saw it on eBay, and I thought, man, X-A10, I've never shot with one of those. And I threw a low bid on it, and I got it. So it showed up a couple of days ago, and here we are. I took it out at lunchtime yesterday and just did like a quick 15-20 minute walk around snapshot test with this thing, and it's everything I love about the X-A1. So that beautiful 16 megapixel Cmos sensor, which I still think is one of the cleanest, most beautiful sensors that Fujifilm has ever put in a camera. It's got improved autofocus over the X-A1. It's got faster processing speed. It's got all the improvements to the wireless connectivity that I didn't like about the X-A1. The X-A1, you can transfer pictures and that's it. This thing has got the full wireless connectivity. It doesn't have Bluetooth, but I've never used or liked Bluetooth through the Fujifilm app. I prefer doing it the Wi-Fi way. Bluetooth might be better, but maybe I'm just old and I'm not good at it, or I don't know. I use Wi-Fi. I like Wi-Fi. I don't like change. I'm just gonna grab my phone here and give you guys some quick specs on this thing, because I honestly don't know them that well. I didn't do a ton of research on this camera when I ordered it. Okay, so the key features of this thing is obviously that 16 megapixel CMOS sensor. It's got no AA filter, which is great. ISO range natively is 200 to 6400. It's expandable from 100 to 25,600. At 6400, it's actually still really nice. It's got a 3-inch tilting screen that's actually fully articulating, so you could potentially vlog with this camera. It does not have a microphone input, which I am totally fine with, because I have cameras with microphone inputs and I don't need one on every camera. Would I like it to have one? Sure, but it also cost me 150 bucks, so I'm not mad about it. It also doesn't have a hot shoe, which is the first X series camera like this with an interchangeable lens setup that I think hasn't had a hot shoe, and I think it actually looks great. It reminds me of those old Voigtlander rangefinder cameras that didn't even have a rangefinder, like they're just blank and you put a viewfinder on them and you zone focus with them. Oh, just about that flash too, it does have a built-in flash, which, I mean, it's not very powerful, but you do have the ability to tilt it up to bounce it if you really want to, and it will bounce, not very brightly, but whatever. The shutter in this is 1/4000th of a second mechanical shutter, and then up to 1/32,000th electronic shutter, so you can run this thing in full silent mode. I just hit the streets with this thing at lunch yesterday. It is such a compact, I've got the XF 27mm f2.8 pancake lens on here, and it is such a nice little discreet street shooting setup. You just flip the screen out like that and you shoot like a waist level finder with your thumb on the shutter, and nobody knows that you are out there taking pictures. It is a beautiful little stealth setup. It shoots 1080 video, it doesn't shoot 4K, but it'll do 24 frames per second, which is nice. 6 frames per second continuous shooting. That's fine. Let me get the autofocus specs here for you. Focusing. Okay. Focusing. It has 49 points of autofocusing, and it's all contrast detect. It seems way faster than some other recent Fujifilm cameras I've tested, the X-A10 in particular. This thing, for the money, blows that camera out of the water. And sure, you get 24 megapixels with that X-A10, and it's smaller, it'll fit in your pocket, but this is still a really small package. Like, I would put this up against a X100T any day of the week with this lens on it. It's f2.8 instead of f2. You can get one of the Fujicrons that's f2. It'll be a little bit bigger, but for the money, I am blown away by this camera, and you guys have been seeing like the very few images. I literally have only shot with this thing for, I just said literally, oh, I hate that. I've only shot with this thing for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and it is fantastic. It's everything I loved about the X-A1 with updated, faster internals. So, man, I am so psyched on this camera. It's really early in the morning. I've taken a couple of days off here to play stay-at-home dad, which has been great. Got to take my daughter to school this morning, and then did some grocery shopping and some laundry. Gonna make a quick YouTube video and then go upstairs and have some lunch. But I'm tired, and kudos to all the stay-at-home moms and dads, because I don't think you get enough credit for how hard this is, because it is. It's a lot of work. That's it. I'm going to shoot some more with this thing. I'm going to take some video with this thing. I'm going to... It's Bird Week here in Vancouver, which I don't think I'll take this to the bird sanctuary, but maybe I'll give it to my daughter and she can take some photos with it. But I swear I will be doing a review of the X-T30 very soon, but things just keep popping up that I feel the need to make in the meantime. There's so many X-T30 videos out there. You guys have seen that it's a great camera, and I'm sure if I did an X-T30 video, which I will do eventually, I would get lots of views on it and it would bump up my analytics, but I don't care about that stuff because, like, I don't do YouTube for money, generally speaking, and I don't know, I'll make that video when I feel like making that video. But yeah, this camera is fantastic. I'm going to take a picture of you guys looking at me right now. It's such a good camera. Yeah, 150 bucks. I got this thing for 150 Canadian bucks. Like, those aren't even real dollars. They're Canadian dollars. So let that sink in. They're only like 0.72 of a real American dollar. So this was like 100 American dollars. Is that right? I don't know. Do the math for me. But this camera for that money is so insanely good, and I would have no problem just taking this setup with me. This is all the pictures that you guys have seen. That's what they're on, is this camera with this pancake lens. I friggin' love this setup. Fujifilm X-A10, the giant killer is reborn.